Okay, negatives the same as the normal isometric stuff. Okay, it can be perceived as boring, so we started doing this not this past postseason, but the postseason before, and I was thinking, you know, these kids are going to hate it. You know, they're going to complain, they're going to bitch at me, and they loved it because it was something different. You know, so we do this for 3 weeks. You know, every year they know what's coming. Something different. They're excited. Okay. Obviously they have to show intent. That's a lot easier in a team setting. Okay, so that kind of goes away. Again, stability and strength only at those specific joint angles, but with that multiple holds, okay, that really starts to go away, that issue. Okay. So that's for the most part how we use isometrics. Okay, so we'll use it with our incoming freshmen the first, you know, at the minimum 6 weeks that they ever train. Okay, and we'll do it the first 3 weeks of a postseason. Okay, so it's not a huge part of, you know, our training, but it's something we do, and I think it really works. Some other uses for it. You can use just certain exercises isometrically. You don't have to use every exercise isometrically. Okay, I've got a very tall female basketball player. She can't squat normally to save her life. Okay, she has too many, and it's stability issues. She has bad ankle mobility, etc. So when it's squat time for her, she does isometrics, and we just keep rotating back and forth between the holds and the 5-5-5 holds, because I will not load her dynamically, because we just add strength onto dysfunction. It's a good way to do some in-season training because of that decreased stress on the muscles and joints. Okay, so sometimes when we've got athletes who have a tough competition either coming up or they just finished it, maybe we'll do a day of isometrics. Okay, breaks up the monotony a little bit. They get to hear my voice again. They're always excited about that. Okay, so every once in a while we'll throw it in there. Speed and power training. So again, I talked about absorbing. So our first 2 phases of plyometrics, we just stick. First we jump up into a box and stick, and then we jump over to our hurdle and stick. Okay, teaching them that force absorption before we move on to true plyometrics. Speed training, our first phase we do an isometric hold into a sprint. Okay, just to teach good low mechanics and teach them to put force into the ground. Okay, and then I have about 8 kids that we do that triphasic training stuff that I talked about, that Cal Dietz put an ebook out on. Pretty amazing stuff with elite athletes. I took a kid who could vertical jump 33 inches on the jump mat, so it's a pretty true jump, up to 36 in 6 weeks. That's pretty solid. So, but he's already an amazing athlete. I just that was pure experiment. Here, try this. He went out and did it. Got there. So if you train some elite people, I highly suggest looking into that. I practiced this multiple times for a reason. I'm right on time. Do we have any questions? And they can be about anything. They don't have to just be about isometrics. Yes,
Brian? How long do your workouts take? You said you do sort of 4 different exercises with the 4 sets and the 2 to 4 reps or whatever it is. How long do your workouts generally take?
I want my strength sessions to be at a max 60 minutes. Sometimes they're a little less, like 30 to 60 minutes. Off season, when we're not worried about games or practices, it's going to be 60 minutes in there. Whole workouts, warm up takes about 20 minutes. If we happen to do sprints and plyometrics that day, that takes about 15 to 20 minutes, and if we condition, that takes 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the day. Yep.
Is there ever a concern with, especially with the short end range, the muscle shortened end range, isometric holds that you're doing, that you're suspending on the passive tissues under load? Is there ever an issue with that? I mean, the joint capsule is under load, compressed, it's suspended there. The muscle can slack off, and the joint capsule can hold it itself, becoming perhaps stretched out,
Right.
injured,
Mhm.
remodeled unintentionally
Yeah.
over time. Do you have any issues like that?
We haven't had any issues with that. We are using pretty light loads, so hopefully, there's not enough force to really do that. Quite often we're using body weight, especially with our incoming athletes, and we're not, I guess when I say we're at the end range of motion, we're not exactly there. We're a
Yeah,
little
looked like
bit,
you were up a little.
yeah, up a little
Into
bit,
the
yeah.
range,
I guess I should say it's take that end range of motion and pick it up an inch or something like
Right.
that to get that force absorption part of it as opposed to sitting on it. That's a great point. Yes?
I noticed on your slide that you had like body weight and like 1/10. How do you like factor in the 1/10 exactly of somebody's body weight for the isometrics?
So if you can do, and those are movements that body weight doesn't really come into factor too much, like I'd like to think, even a big kid, a 250-pound kid, should be able to hold that squat with a quarter of their body weight. They should be able to hold that for 30 seconds. Obviously with our lighter kids, that weight gets a lot less. So before we can really build absolute strength, we got to build relative strength. And again, if they don't reach that point, if they can't get that quarter body weight, it's okay to do another week because it's very safe training. I think it's helping their mobility and stability. I don't think it's hurting them to do more time in that type of training.
I just want to clarify then that's body weight plus 1/10 of the.
No, so it'd be if it says equals 1/4 of their body weight, they just take their body weight divided by 4. That's the load that they should use, to the nearest dumbbell or whatever.
Do you have some evidence-based best practices for this? The art of it is you're applying
Right.
what you've learned the way you see it will hopefully work the best. And I've independently been experimenting with isometrics as well beyond the normal stuff we were exposed to years ago. So
Right.
I was intrigued to see what you're doing and wondering what kind of evidence you're basing your program off of.
I don't have a lot to be completely honest. I have stuff that, again, people who I hold in high regard, Mike Boyle, Greg Cook, people like that who, if they say that these things work, unfortunately I don't have the time to not believe them. I take them at their word. And then all of this is anecdotal, for me is, did it work? I really feel it did. So we've done this for 2 summers with their incoming freshmen and I've noticed a difference. Can I do that experimentally? I'm not sure because maybe we just got better athletes these last 2 years. Who knows? All I know is the end result was what I want it to be. So I guess I don't lose sleep at night thinking about how we got to said end result. In my situation, everything's we got to go forward. Unfortunately, I'd love to, maybe one day move on to do some experimental stuff, but I don't have the time right now. But that's where you come in to tell me later after the fact that what I was doing was the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
With much of what we're doing in this field. You doing any traditional stick point isometrics? Let's take the pull-up for example. You see the gal that can
Right.
flex to 30 degrees before she is stuck.
Mhm.
Are you doing any kind of slightly unloading at that point, having to hold at that specific?
I've done it.
angle?
I've done a little bit of that, and that's very case by case specific. Like you said, all of a sudden I see someone has that one issue. We'll do some isometrics in that way. I find it, and that really works as well. It's amazing how quickly that can get back to you. I will say with this stuff, I was always saying the 3 to 6 weeks and things like that. If you have them in front of you, okay, don't be afraid to make it shorter. Like if you see after 1 week they've got great movement and you feel that they're ready to move on to the next stage, by all means. They don't have to do 3 weeks. I just do it because it's a program that they've taken home and I don't see them. I don't see them until day 1 school starts.
And there's nothing to stop somebody from just integrating what you're doing. You're doing it 3 weeks.
Right.
You're avoiding some of the complaints, it sounds like, once they buy into your system. But it wouldn't hurt just to integrate isometrics into a standard, more standardized program,
Yeah.
and then hopefully nobody's ever complaining
Yeah.
about it.
Absolutely, and that's my goal is, I think it's a misunderstood topic, and I really feel there's a lot of benefits, and we've seen the benefits of isometric training, and that's why I'm here today, to share that with you guys.